Hello, my name is Stephen Bereznicki, and welcome to my very first Top 10 video. Today, we'll be counting down my top 10 picks for my most wanted features for a future Fossil Fighters game, possibly for the Nintendo Switch. For this list, we're looking at features that were in some Fossil Fighters games, but for whatever reason, were dropped, altered, or forgotten, as well as some new ideas that could be implemented in a new game, if there should ever be one. However, we are excluding more new Vivosaurs and the like as an option, because, I mean, come on, that should definitely happen in a new game, right? And there might be some spoilers in this video, so you've been warned. Number 10. Return of the Buster Point Probe item. Such was the use of this great item that its absence in Frontier was a bit of an unpleasant surprise to me. Not to mention that such meant you had to be pretty meticulous in the cleaning process. On the bright side, the Time Plus item remained, and there were no dust particles in the cleaning process, because sometimes when I hang out with my brother, he would express that myself having to blow the dust away to clean fossils was a bit annoying to him. So this 1+ honorable mention, that is having no dust particles, is, well, worth mentioning. Number 9. Accuracy raising moves, with crosshairs icon. Let's call it focus. As we are all aware, there are moves and support effects that increase or decrease attack power, defense power, and evasion, or speed. Yet there's nothing for increasing accuracy, but instead with enraged skills, just the exact opposite, especially for the unfortunate Centro, and even more for Xeno. No, not that Xeno. Nope, not that one either, that's Alcius. Yep, that Xeno. The Therizinosaurus whose 100% guaranteed critical hit ability would otherwise make even water-type Vivosaurs cringe in its presence, especially with those huge claws. I mean, has Therizinosaurus' appearance in its own special, the Giant Claw, taught us nothing? You get the idea. Hopefully in the next Fossil Fighters game, a move called Focus and Super Focus with a crosshairs icon could be implemented, so as to give Centro and Xeno the much needed edge they need, perhaps in a pinch, if they're going to be used for competitive play, or the like. Number 8. Moderate rebuffs to severely nerfed Vivosaurs. I'm going to put some emphasis on Dynal and Igno for this one. These two powerhouses are legendary, in the first game anyway. I was glad Rent Entertainment decided to include them as downloadable content in Champions, but even that doesn't make the fact that they've been considerably nerfed in that game any more excusable. I mean, I'm all for balancing characters and making overpowered ones slightly weaker, key word being slightly, not overly, but the nerfs to these two of my favorite Vivosaurs ever, come on guys, you didn't have to nerf them that much. Even to this day, even when I played Champions, I barely use it because of Igno's drop defense and cutting Dynal's LP nearly in half, not to mention his terrible speed and, need I say more?
Everyone wants to wet their beaks. Ugh.
To be fair though, even lower tier characters sometimes have their dedicated tournament representations, like Bowser in Smash Bros. Before he was made a lot better in Smash Bros. 4 anyway. Number 7. More compatibility for the Japanese Vivosaurs. Now, it's no secret that 3 certain Vivosaurs, F-Raptor, Futabi, and Miho can only use their team skills when teamed up with each other, and that's because they're all from Japan. The same could be said of other Vivosaurs of different locations, but there's a catch. They only work with each other, even if you try other Japanese Vivosaurs.
What?
I mean, with the ability to have more than one of the same Vivosaurs, with a few obvious exceptions, you could use 2 Mihus or Futabis on the same team, or any other combination of them and /or F-Raptor and keep their team skills, but such compatibility can only work so far. Even Toba or Gaudry, who are also from Japan, couldn't work with them.
No!
This is one of those areas where even Fossil Fighters Champions drops the ball, big time. I mean, it's understandable if their uniqueness was meant for the first Fossil Fighters game, but seriously, they could have expanded on such uniqueness. Although, Neppono, despite having inspiration from the Japanese flag, was actually discovered in Russia, so that's understandable as to why Neppono wouldn't work. But still, if you want to make the Japanese Vivosaurs more viable for any situation, I suggest you expand on their compatibility. Number 6. Return of Wondrous and Miraculous Fossil Rocks. These great and powerful, yet extremely fragile items were such a welcome addition to Champions, especially with the ability to change their colors, or even their forms for that matter. In a sense, the gold ones were present in Frontier, but all they did was unlock more powerful moves in addition to what Vivosaurs already had, and otherwise didn't change anything. Even worse, Super Evolvers were not present in Frontier.
No.
And Champions, even if Miraculous Gold fossils were used on Vivosaurs that could not Super Evolve, they otherwise made said Vivosaurs stronger. I would more than welcome the return of these great items. I would rejoice! Number 5. Returning Aquatic, Mammalian, and Super Evolved Vivosaurs. When Fossil Fighters Frontier was announced, it was confirmed sometime later that Aquatic Vivosaurs, such as Krona, Mammalian Vivosaurs such as Mammoth, and all Super Evolved Vivosaurs would not appear in the game, much to the detriment of some, including myself, who love the support effects of Vivosaurs like Hoplo and Elasmo, to name a couple. I don't think that fact alone makes Frontier by any means a bad game, and if such was because of the Nintendo 3DS's limitations, it's understandable. But like I said, those who love the omitted Vivosaurs will be in for some disappointment if they didn't do research before buying the game. If it wasn't phrased like their hopes would come crashing down. Well, not literally. But seriously, Red Entertainment?
What the hell happened?
Number 4. An epic voice cast. Or at least something like in Pokken Tournament. Okay, let's get real here. What would a great game be without a great voice cast, right? Before I begin on this part, I just want to say, about a year or so before Frontier came out in English, I was amused by the Japanese voice actors for Frontier for each of the 5 lessons in Japanese. And their facial expressions were nothing short of priceless. So much so that, let's just say I think the yellow peanut M&M guy in that 2014 Super Bowl commercial summed it up pretty nicely about my initial sentiments about Frontier's then future release.
I have no idea what you're saying, but count me in!
Anyway, in spite of Frontier not being exactly what I'd hoped it'd be, I still thought it was worth playing, in part because of its characters, some of whom look pretty cool, like Leon, who prefers to be a loner, and Kowloon, who looks like a mix between Street Fighter II's Vega, or Balrog in Japan, and the Bleach anime's Genichimaru. But on to the voice actors. Well, admittedly, I haven't thought of a whole lot of voices, but I have a few ideas. Kowloon could be voiced by Doug Erholtz, who voiced Gin in Bleach. Leon could be cast by Steve Staley, who voiced Toshiro Hitogaya, also from Bleach. Travis Willingham could be cast as Captain Striker. Why Travis? Let me ask you, doesn't Striker have a striking resemblance to a certain colonel from a certain well-known anime? But one of my favorite casting choices is none other than David Ogden Stiers as Baron von Blackraven. Or was it Dr. Black? Or Dr. Blackraven? Anyway, Stiers was in some Disney movies, such as Beauty and the Beast, as Belle's father Maurice, and as a villainous Governor Ratcliffe in Pocahontas. And mind you, I'm citing the latter example as a reason for casting Stiers as Blackraven. This next mock-up clip, with a little bit of my own voice acting, will give you an idea as to what they'd sound like. Captain Kowloon!
It appears I've selected the perfect location, eh?
Not abroad on sight. Well, just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not out there, sir.
Well, then perhaps you should venture forth and determine their whereabouts.
Gladly. If there are any brats out there, I'll find them. Granted, this idea might be a bit far-fetched, but if nothing else, maybe a voice cast similar to that of Pokken Tournament. Oh, and if anybody has any other ideas regarding voice casting, please leave a comment below. But until then, let's move on. Number 3. Guest Character Vivosaurs. Now, Red Entertainment, Fossil Fighters' creator, is part of Nintendo, so it should stand to reason that if Nintendo thought it was a good idea, some Nintendo characters could be Vivosaurs too. One idea that obviously comes to mind is Yoshi. Everybody who knows Nintendo, then again who doesn't, should surely know about Yoshi, who's obviously a dinosaur. But some lesser known Nintendo dinosaurs deserve a chance as well, like the Dodongos from the Legend of Zelda series, such as the ones from Ocarina of Time, the original Zelda game, and maybe the Twilight Princess ones too. If not perhaps the baby Dodongo, or King Dodongo for that matter. Yoshi could be of the neutral element, while the Dodongos should obviously be fire, which kind of fits their respective natures. I even have some moveset ideas. Yoshi's Fury move could be a combination of first, a headbutt, second, the Yoshi Bomb from Smash Bros., and finally, his deadly downward aerial move, also from Smash Bros., where he does his downward flurry of kicks. His second move could be a Yoshi combo, which does the first 2 parts of a Fury combo, and his first move could be his trademark Egg Throw projectile, which acts like a bomb and might have a good chance to enrage an opponent, or blind them, if you will, like what he did to Riptor in Death Battle. Perhaps to fit his tongue technique, he could also have the ability, as a fourth move, I guess, to halt or otherwise restrict his opponent's actions, either as a sleep or scare technique. Or even better, steal the opponent's advantageous stat increases from moves like Inflame, Quicken, etc. for the next turn. And his team skill, or a move that could attack opposing Vivosaurs several times, such as Radox's Stampede skill, could be a whole stampede of Yoshis, like in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. The Dodongo's moves could obviously be something Fire Breath related, and maybe include some poison moves. They could also have the auto counter ability, reflecting on the fact that in the N64 Zelda games, if you manage to damage them from behind, they whirl around with a tail whip and then unleash a Fire Breath attack. Finally, a possible Vacuum Breath move could also steal positive stat increases from an opponent, like Yoshi could. Ooh, here's another great idea. A very Indominus idea. That's right, I'm talking about Indominus Rex from Jurassic World. Or IREX for short.
Yes, I suppose, but must we call it that?
If it's going to be anything like Jurassic World has shown it to be, it's definitely going to give even the mighty T-Rex, or T-Rex Lord for that matter, a run for its money. How, you might ask? Maybe it's because...
that thing's part raptor.
Yup, it's part raptor, part T-Rex, part, chameleon, or cuttlefish, and all awesome, and strong. Not only could Indominus Rex be neutral, or for that matter, legendary type, what, you want to make it weak to something? It could have a various mix of skill sets, such as the ability to steal FP or LP, inflict random effects, attack all opposing Vivosaurs without a team skill, maybe even have the FP absorb ability. Okay, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Whew, let's move on. Number 2. Return of the Legendary Element. Ever since the first Fossil Fighters game, the Legendary Element was created, and returned in Champions, but then for whatever reason was removed from Frontier in favor of similarly powerful Vivosaurs having the neutral element. Why Legendary was removed from Frontier is beyond me, but it was surely missed, by me anyway. I suppose that was to highlight the similarities between the two elements, but I think the Legendary type rightly put the Vivosaurs of that element in a class of their own. I mean, why wouldn't they be? Except for Frontier, each game introduced 5 Legendaries. Frigile, Igno, and the 3 brains of the final boss, Gunnash in the first game, and Zonga Zonga and his Zombiesaurs in Champions, making a total of 10 Legendaries across the first 2 games. At least 5 more Vivosaurs of this category could, and should, be welcomed in the next Fossil Fighters game, maybe with more team skill compatibility, namely with any, but maybe not all, Legendary type Vivosaurs. Please, Red Entertainment, if you would make a new Fossil Fighters game, give all the Legendary type Vivosaurs the power and recognition they deserve. Which brings us to my top pick of this video. Oh, but first, here are some honorable mentions. Number 1. Returning Special and DLC Vivosaurs. Here we go, the moment you've all been waiting for. The must-have return of every special and downloadable content Vivosaur from every game. Even from Frontier 2. Now, admittedly, there weren't too many special Vivosaurs in Frontier, except for those from AR cards. But there were some cool ones that deserve to be on the playing field, if you know what I mean. These include the cool Dragon Ball Z looking Earth Dragon, Dreadsaurus, and perhaps even Dread Raven. Dinal and the other Dinorian Vivosaurs need a well-deserved comeback. Even the Bonysaurs, especially Salada, deserve a return in the next game, even if they kept their glass cannon style of fighting, namely with their low LP but high stats and high stat increases. Oh my god, I can see it now. Every single Vivosaur, old and new, in a single game. And if said game was on the Nintendo Switch, how could such a thing not be possible? And imagine, Gunnash's resurrected brains and Zonga Zonga and the Zombiesaurs team up with Black Raven, all bent on, well, I was gonna say revenge, with Nibble's ultimate form, the Crimson Ravager from Frontier, being the only Vivosaur required on a team, teamed with at least 2 other Vivosaurs of course, to defeat them, in a 3 fights in a row manner similar to how one would face Sorehead or the BB Trio from the first game, post-game. Although, considering that, spoiler alert, every greater and final antagonist from every game has either died or was otherwise destroyed, this otherwise epic thing could be a possible DLC side quest, like a simulator sort of thing. Yeah, not as kicktail as it would have been in an actual storyline, especially if the next game came up with at least 5 more legendary Vivosaurs, but either way, it's definitely doable for me, and hopefully for all you fossil fighters out there. Okay, guys and girls, do you agree with my picks? With a lot of things that I've covered, there are probably some things that I might have missed. If you figure out anything that I've missed, please leave a comment below. Thanks a bunch for watching.